The English language is a tricksy thing. It's a mess of words adapted from different dialects, occupying forces, and the corruption of time. As a result, it's full of odd place names that, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, don't make sense. The tube map is no exception. So today I thought I'd pay tribute to those commonly mispronounced stations on the Underground. Let's start with that tourist trap, Leicester Square. There is no reason why anyone would ever want to go to Leicester Square ever, as it is an awful place. But it's famously often mispronounced by newcomers to Britain. It's not Leicester or Leicester, but Leicester. By the same token, this here is Gloucester Road. Interestingly, I've come across old maps that abbreviate it to Gloucester, Gloster. Presumably they figured that the pronunciation was familiar enough that they could spell it that way and people would know what they were talking about. I once had an argument with someone over the pronunciation of St. Pancras. He was certain that it was St. Pancreas. He was wrong about this. I explained that it's named after an actual saint named Pancras. He disputed this as, in his words, Pancras is not a person's name. I considered pointing out that Pancreas is also not a person's name, but sometimes you just have to step back from these things for the sake of a quiet life. Ruislip just looks wrong, like it should be Ruislip, but it's pronounced Ruislip. This station is not Southwark, but Southwark. Now here's one that's caught me out in the past. I rarely visit this place. I thought at first that it was either Plaistow or Plaistow, but actually it's Plaistow. Another one that's caught me out, and I mentioned this in my video on the subject, is here. I assumed it was pronounced in the French manner, Thaden Bois, but it's actually Thaden Boys, or sometimes Thaden Boyce, although there doesn't seem to be any consensus on this. There's also a Chesham Boys, but it doesn't have a station named after it. Similarly French-looking is this station, but it's pronounced Hainault. This station name is a mess. There's an AU, there's an X, and there's an H, but it's pronounced Vauxhall. This is Ladbroke Grove, not Ladbroke. As a general rule, if the syllable ham comes at the end of a place name, it's pronounced So this is not Tottenham Hale, but Tottenham Hale. It's not on the tube map, but the same rule applies to Buckingham Palace. There's a rule that applies to both Chiswick Park and Warwick Avenue, a silent W before the ICK. I don't think there's a more treacherous set of letters in the English language than OUGH. They can be pronounced oo, uff, or, o, ow, or off. This station is pronounced Borough, but this one is Loughton. Don't even get me started on Loughborough Junction. Now we're going to talk about the disputed stations, the ones where even Londoners can't quite agree. This is North Greenwich. All anyone can agree on is that it's not Greenwich. It can be pronounced Greenwich, which is how I pronounce it. It can also be Greenwich, Greenwich, or Greenwich. This one doesn't seem to cause as much fighting as some of the others, though. Highgate is usually pronounced Highgate. However, on the tube announcements, it's pronounced Highgate. And I've come across accounts that suggest that at least in the early 20th century it was always pronounced that way. But everyone I know says Highgate, including several residents. This is not Holborn. It can be pronounced Holborn, but I was always taught that it's Holborn. But you probably won't get beaten up and thrown in the river either way. Now this must surely be the most disputed pronunciation in London. I guarantee that whichever pronunciation you go with, someone will tell you that you are wrong and that the way they were taught is indisputably the correct one. See also the comments section down below. I was always taught Marylebone. However, I have heard it pronounced Marbon, Marybone, Marybone, or Marylebone. It is never Marylebone. Although since it means the Church of St. Mary by the Bourne, it might be argued that this is the most historically accurate pronunciation. However, there seems to be no agreement. You can find authoritative sources backing just about every version of the pronunciation up. Fortunately, I'm not a linguist, so I can pronounce it any way I like. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tally from the tube. If you did, please do click the like button and subscribe for more. Hit the bell icon to be kept up to date with future videos I put out. Thanks as always to my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. You are the GH to my OU. And I'll see you all again very soon for another tale from the tube.